really great Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so I don't know as much what to look for. But I didn't see anything wrong with this card. So, and this is the big one. This is the Chase card from Magic Ruler, the old set. Have you ever opened up any Yu-Gi-Oh before?
Yes, I've opened up a bit with my son a while back.
Oh, very nice. What's your son's name?
Brandon.
Brandon. Well, this card is in honor of Brandon. Let's give it back to you, Keith, to do the reveal. My guess is a 10, by the way. My guess is a 10. What? I was really, really hoping for this one. What can possibly be wrong in this card for it to be an 8? Is there some sort of print lines on it? Is there something with the corners that like
that corner, maybe that corner's a little, that one's got a little whitening right there, maybe?
Maybe because they're like, that was straight out of the pack is how this card was. And the pack was from a booster box. So that was just factory. If we can see that, this bottom down there, if you see this bottom right here, it is a little like rusty, I guess you can say, but that was pulled straight from the pack. So with this being an 8, I mean, you know, it is what it is.
The hype is still pretty high for Prismatic. We do still receive phone calls every day asking when the next restock is going to be, and unfortunately we don't know exactly when the restock is going to be.
How many approximate calls would you say you get?
The days right after the release, probably we had about 15 to 20 a day. Sometimes it gets embarrassing that as humans that we have to fight over something that is meant to be fun, that's meant to be enjoyed for everyone, and then, you know, people getting out of hand. I understand there's a lot of money involved, you know, on certain cards and stuff like that, but it's something that's meant for everyone to enjoy. I think GameStop is always very mindful of our safety. That's part of the reason that they did put these limits so that we don't have fights. We can let people know ahead of time. Our safety is more important than the product.
GameStop has set a great example of putting limits on products. Do you think other stores should follow suit?
I mean, I know other stores have done that in the past. To me, for the safety of the consumer and the safety of the employees, I mean, I think limits...
If they can actually enforce those limits.
Enforce the limits, I think that is great for the safety of everybody involved.
How do you think the experience of shopping for Prismatic Evolutions and other hot sets at GameStop differs from any other type of big box stores?
Just being upfront and honest when people are in line with what we have in stocks. You don't want somebody waiting outside for 2 hours before opening, and then they're going to get up there, we don't have the product. So just being honest and upfront with them, with how much we have in stock, and that way they know that they have the possibility of getting it. All right, the last Pokemon, your Blastoise.
This is the Blastoise. Pulled it as well from a base set vintage pack. Straight away you can see it's a little off center from right to left. Let's take a look at the back. There's more blue on that side compared to that side. Looking at the corners, there is a bit of whitening on the bottom left. I really, really wish I can say this is an 8, but I think my guess for this one is going to be a PSA 7. All right, let's this is the last reveal. So, Keith, oh yeah, little drum roll. Keith, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Let's reveal it. It's a 7. I guessed it right. It's here. Well, there it is. A PSA 7. Again, when you're opening up packs, especially that old, they always move around in the box and stuff.
You never know when the pack was dropped or, you know.
Or it's just straight from the factory. It's just, you know, they print it off center, just like this card right here. But I pulled it myself, so I'm very happy at least that now we're graded. All right, Keith, I got more cards that I'm going to grade. Pretty special, each of these cards. It's only 5.
Okay.
That being said, how's the grading process been since?
It has been fantastic. It has been booming. From what I can tell, it's been booming so much. PSA actually raised their prices a little bit.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, in conjunction with that, GameStop did raise their prices a little bit.
What was it originally?
It was $15.99 for TCG,
okay,
and $19.99 for non-TCG sports.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone to $18.99 for TCG and $20.99 for and sports.
So that's what now the price is for me to submit these.
So that is the price now.
Okay.
Still the free shipping with the pro membership. Still to redeem the points towards the cards.
Interesting to note, but that's not going to stop me from submitting these cards.
Third up is a Charizard staff card that give out to employees at local card stores that hosted tournaments, hence the gold staff printed on it. This was the final set of staff cards that Pokemon released before stopping them. I'm confident this card should come back a PSA 10, thus increasing its value to close to $1,000. Next is an Oda signed Luffy card from One Piece. Oda's the creator of One Piece, and for this card, his auto was printed on the card. If this card comes back a PSA 10, its value jets up to almost $2,000. This Lugia staff card is from the same set as the Charizard. I actually feel like this one is in better shape than the Charizard. If it comes back a PSA 10, it's worth around $300. Gold Reshiram was released over a decade ago. While it needs a little love, I honestly feel like we can get the bump from a 7 to an 8. While value would have changed too much, an 8 looks much better than a 7. Finally, we have the Silver Dialga from Phantom Forces, originally being a 6. If we can bump that score up to a 7 or an 8, the value goes up quite a bit. Plus, come on, a 6? We've got some work to do.
Alright, so we are doing the PSA bulk. You already have them in the penny sleeves and the card savers.
Exactly.
Perfect, thank you. Gotta take a picture.
And they submit like 50 cards.
Yeah.
And you just have to take a picture right here, 50 cards.
Well, actually, what we have to do is we have to take a picture of 8 at a time.
8 at a time, okay.
So, yeah, they changed it, and a couple other things that we've had to change on it is now we also have to, once we put the stickers on, we have to take pictures of the back now, too.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, I like seeing the bit of changes of how it goes when you're submitting the cards now.
And you are familiar with the upcharge.
Yeah, has that changed?
That has not changed.
Okay.
And the terms of agreement have not changed, so
okay.
If you just check the box and sign. The only thing that's changed is the pricing.
The price, okay.
So we're going to label the backs of each card.
Now for these, I'm expecting some 10s, Keith.
Oh, please don't hold me accountable. All right, so we were looking at 94, 95 today.
All right, so we got another approximate 45 days. Hopefully we got some good news with that. GameStop's been grading cards now for several months. How has the experience been?
From what I've seen, it's been fantastic. I mean, we've had people that maybe their first time grading and they're a little concerned, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible for them and make it the best experience that we can to get their cards graded. We want to expand the community.
What are some of the coolest cards that you've seen come through?
Besides the one you gave me?
Well, speaking of that, how's the Charizard card?
Oh, it's in a place of honor.
Oh, no way. Look at that. I love it. That's great. The grade reveal was fun, but now the fun really begins, Keith. Let's have a Prismatic Evolutions pack battle.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Hopefully I'll do better than last time.
Yeah, well, you faced Liam last time and did lose.
Yes.
Then I faced Liam, and I believe I did win.
You did win.
However, we never actually got to open packs, and people were asking if we could. So, Keith, I wish you the best of luck.
Best to you.
Let's move on to Prismatic Evolutions. And now I'm actually forgetting which box we chose.
I have no idea.
You can have that one.
Not much from people getting.
Swallows nest when skies are fair, but hide when storms are in the air.
Hi everyone, I'm Maggie McGrath, Senior Editor at Forbes. Fed Chair Jerome Powell addressed the House and the Senate this week, and his comments touched on everything from inflation rates and interest rates and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to cryptocurrency. Joining us now to talk about it all is Steve Forbes. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Good to be with you, Maggie. Thank you.
So, Fed Chair Jerome Powell touched on a lot of subjects. Can you just give a brief overview of what stood out the most to you in his testimonies this week?
What stood out the most, and certainly got the president's
my
attention,
plan for the
was
day?
no cuts in interest rates.
Doing whatever I
They
feel
think
like,
they
I
have
suppose.
inflation under
Same
control.
with tomorrow
And I think
and the
what
day
has
after
happened recently in terms of the inflation numbers that came out this week is reinforcing the Fed's decision to stand down and do nothing. And what this gets to, though, is even though people focused on that, is the whole model of the Federal Reserve. What's going to be coming up in the months ahead, and investors should be prepared for it, is there's going to be a big fight between the White House and the Federal Reserve. Not about the Fed's independence, not even the particulars of interest rates, but the whole way the Fed operates. The Fed has this belief, shared by other central bankers, that prosperity causes
Swallows
inflation.
nest when skies are
So
fair,
therefore they
but
try to
hide when
manipulate the
storms are
economy,
in the air.
either stimulate it or hurt it, slow it down, impede it, because they think that's the way you control inflation. They forget there are two kinds of inflation. One is what you might call non-monetary. So like you have bird flu, that's going to raise the prices of eggs. Interest rates are not going to affect how many eggs hens lay or how many hens are around. So they can't control non-monetary inflation. What they can control is monetary inflation, traditional kind, which the definition is lowering the value of your currency. Usually we are creating too much of it.
Oh, my
And
plan
so
for the day?
Fed, but no one of the Fed, no one
Doing
in
whatever
the
I feel
central
like, I
bank around the
suppose.
world talks about
Same with tomorrow.
stability
And the
of
day after
currencies.
that.
They all focus on the economy. Do we goose it? Do we impede it? It's a fundamental flaw. It's called the Phillips curve. It derives from something called the Phillips curve. It's not a baseball pitch. It's named after an economist who posited back in the 50s and 60s that there's a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. If you want lower unemployment, you have to have higher inflation. If you want lower inflation, you have to have higher unemployment. Well, today the Fed has been muddled because you've had low unemployment and until recently you had high inflation. That was not supposed to happen. And it shows the Fed's view of the world is wrong. So the Fed should be focusing on a stable value for the dollar. And this is where the Fed is looking at the wrong numbers. Right now, two good barometers of trouble for future inflation, i.e. the value of the currency, is general commodity prices. Everyone focuses on oil, but if you look at the general indexes, they've been soaring up over 20%. Gold price, very good long-term barometer of inflation signals. That is going up enormously, approaching near $3,000 an ounce. That should tell the Fed the dollar is weak, even though we're doing better than other currencies. Right now we have a situation in the world of junk currencies. None of them is really stable. The dollar is better than the others. But talk about baseball coming up, it's like having a 200 hitter leading the league. It's pretty poor.
So what do you wish you had heard from the Fed chairman in his testimony this week?
I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I wish the Fed chairman had said, Jerome Powell had said, in the future we're going to focus on a stable value for the dollar, get stability for the dollar and hopefully then other currencies. And we're not going to try to stimulate or impede economic activity. If you step back and think of it, it's amazing in a democracy, free enterprise system, that we have a group of people in Washington trying to determine the level of economic activity. And that's why we get this talk of times are good. The Fed starts to talk about, is the economy overheating? I think of how absurd that is. If you get a pay raise, you start sweating at night. I'm overheating. Take it away. No, it's preposterous. The economy is not a machine. But that's the way they think. So they either try to stimulate or hurt economic activity. And I wish they'd move away from that model, but it's going to take a fight with the Fed to change that whole way of looking at the world. So in the meantime, the Fed is stoking inflation without even knowing it.
Now, Steve, you mentioned
That's the headline. They're
stoking inflation
without even knowing it.
Okay, there's our headline. I want to drill down into something that you said about commodities prices and gold prices. It's similar to something that President Trump said at Davos, which was oil prices are coming down, so interest rates should come down. And the Fed Chairman Powell said this week that we do not need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance. So what do you make of the disagreement between the President and the Fed Chairman?
Well, the President wants lower interest rates because he thinks that's going to stimulate the economy. And he thinks that we're going to get lower energy prices as we bring in the months ahead, open up more and more fields, start rebuilding the infrastructure and energy, start getting some LNG exporting facilities up and running. That takes time. But you just can't look at the oil price. You got to look at all general commodities. Oil is in a situation where we have a world economy that's not doing very well, so demand is not very vigorous. And and the idea that you control the economy by manipulating interest rates is something that is bogus. They're using the wrong instrument. If you want to have a stable value for the dollar, you make sure you're not printing too much money. And so if commodity prices overall are stable and the gold price is flat, okay, that's fine. If they're going down, that means you're too tight. If they're going up a lot, that means you're too loose. So the market signals are there, but they ignore them. Not always. In the past, Alan Greenspan ran the Fed for a while in the 1990s. He followed gold. He said so publicly. He followed commodity prices. And it worked. For some reason, he moved away from it in the early 2000s. But so follow the market signals. And so in terms of, I think President Trump knows something's not right. He's trying to get his arms around it. But you can't just...
Girl's quite an artist, and I hadn't even started singing at that point. Now I'm singing. On and on now. On and on and on, on and on, on and on, on and on now. Welcome to the greatest musician who walked the planet. My music literally competing with Michael Jackson, Elvis, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash on the Hank Williams. My music is up there. And it's already out. You understand, like, you people of society, that's you kept up with somebody forever. Simple question, right? Talking about nonsense. Like, you got music, I got millions of tracks. I got thousands of tracks out on my